Hey everyone, I'm Jared.
And I'm Chantel.
Welcome to the Poured Out Podcast. Today, what are we talking about? Talking about being organized?
Yeah. That's fitting.
Yeah. Yeah, we're being very organized.
How organized do you feel right
Yeah,
now?
very not organized.
Okay, good.
Normally I feel like I'm usually pretty organized.
You're a pretty organized person, yeah.
But it was more of I knew what we were talking about, I just didn't know how to word it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're in November.
Yes, and I want to apologize for last week's video quality. That was an error on my part, for sure.
I think it was an error on my part.
Well,
It was a combination of things.
it was... I still blame myself the most. So, yeah. Should be back to normal this week.
Hopefully it's much improved this week.
Lack of communication last week.
It's all good.
You communicated. I misunderstood and just... Yes. Anyway. Yeah. I wanted you to do an update on your clock. Because we talked about it a few weeks ago.
Oh, my waking up clock?
Yes.
That I'm not using at all anymore?
Yeah.
That one?
So it's supposed to be like a light slowly turns on.
Yeah.
And you wake up to the light.
Yeah.
How's that working?
It's not. Well, not that it didn't wake me up, but...
It woke you up all night long.
I was not sleeping well. I was trying to wake up earlier.
Yeah.
Normally wake up between 6 and 6:30, typically.
Yeah.
And I wanted to wake up a little bit earlier to get more stuff done in the morning. But I think part of the problem was I was waking up earlier from the light. And so it did wake me up. But we weren't able to go to bed any earlier.
Right.
And so I was just eliminating an hour out of my sleep time.
Right.
Which was not good.
Well, you weren't sleeping really well during the night either, right? Because now you've turned it because it has the time display.
It has the time display, and now the time display is like against the wall. So I can still like move it and look at it if I need to know the time in the middle of the night, but it's not glowing. I don't know.
So overall, that wasn't a winning purchase.
No, it was not.
That's how
a little disappointed.
And did this one have really good reviews?
It did, yeah. And I think it works well, like for what it does. It's just maybe I'm just so used to not having an alarm clock, and it would just take longer to
maybe
get used to having that in the room. I don't know.
It's kind of a little bit related. That's how I feel about the Happy Light. I got one a couple of years ago, and everyone's, seems to think it works really well, and I never found it works. So maybe we're just oddballs.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, you got it because of just winter being so dark.
Yeah.
But I think, and we've talked about this before, the biggest difference was walking in the winter, I think.
Absolutely.
So, but we'll see what happens. We're like well into winter now, it feels like.
Yes.
There's currently a winter storm
warning
storm going on.
Started out there right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's quite a storm weather,
No.
but if it keeps up, it will be.
Yeah. It's snowing and windy, getting windier.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Snow to shovel.
Okay. Good. So overall, so far, clock is not a winner.
Not for me.
Me neither. I really didn't like it. The time was too bright, and I don't know, it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, well.
So I'm still using my phone with a very, very dim clock.
Yeah.
And then not using it when I wake up.
Yeah.
Okay. Today since we've got this winter storm going on out there, we were going to talk about 3 favorite winter activities each.
Yeah. I don't know about... See, winter activity I feel like implies
so
different things. I said things you like to do in the winter more than you would like to do in the summer necessarily.
Okay, so... Right.
Giving some leeway because we're not...
These all do not have to involve snow.
Or being outside. Necessarily.
Okay.
For the avid indoorsman.
Yes. Which I sure am.
Yeah. Do you want to start?
Okay. Well, actually, my first one was to go for a walk when it's snowing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I thought I needed at least one in there that involved being outside in the snow.
Yeah.
And I actually Googled because I'm like, what are popular winter activities? I don't like them. like they're
Or like
skating and
snowshoeing.
Well, I think snowshoeing might be fun, but
Cross country.
yeah, skiing
Yeah.
and snowboarding and all that stuff. But I those imply being outside for a very long time and getting very cold, in my opinion.
But that is also from your teenage years when you did not dress appropriately for the weather.
And had very, very bad circulation.
Yeah. So I wonder if some of those activities might actually be more enjoyable now.
The last time I went skiing, I realized I'm terrified of heights now. And it freaked me out. I went down the hill one time and the anxiety was so high I couldn't do it again. So
cross skiing off.
Yeah, well, maybe cross country skiing I could do now.
Yeah. And this is like afraid of heights in the middle of a prairie where the ski hill is
the mountain.
The mountain is actually just going down a valley.
Yeah.
River valley.
It was weird because I don't think I'm normally scared of heights. But yeah. Anyway, so walking when it's snowing, which is what we just came back from, and my face is still like unthawing.
Yeah. The wind.
Yeah.
It's the wind.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like I have a number 3 that it's something that I enjoy doing, but not.
Are you going backwards? You have a number 3? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Starting with number 3.
Right? Oh, okay.
Isn't that what we do? Like the lead, like.
I don't know. This is just
whatever.
Mine aren't really in any particular order.
They're not ranked in order.
No.
Okay. But I like going sledding with the kids.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's one of those like you get excessively cold sometimes, or depending, like it's usually just because you're wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you wipe out, do a tumble, get snow everywhere.
Yeah. So it's not
things.
something we do very often, I guess. So I feel like it's weird for me to say it's one of my favorite things because I don't really initiate it, but every time the kids want to go and we go out with them, it's a lot of fun.
We try to do it once a year at least, I think.
Yeah.
Probably should do it more often, but
probably because
the last few years we've had little ones, so that makes it much more complicated.
Yes, that was little ones that, especially one that was like terrified of everything. So he was scared going in the sled when it wasn't going down a hill,
just on the sidewalk. Being pulled in the sled. Oh, that was fun.
I forgot about that.
Uh-huh.
But it's just like they have so much fun, and then
going on the sled with them, and
they like to go, like, even though they're getting big, they like to like pile us all on a sled or to try to go down together. It's just fun to see them having fun and just to enjoy.
Yeah, that's a good one. I actually
with them.
Wish I would have put that on there on my list. I didn't at all. Okay, well, are we going in order here? Well, then my next one I'll say is doing puzzles and board games. So we talked about puzzles last time. I feel like this is the time of year that we start one. I am thinking about buying / asking for Christmas / buying with Christmas money a puzzle mat this year. I still don't really understand how they work.
Because then you're supposed to be able to roll it up and it keeps your...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But in my brain, it would just like take it all apart. But obviously they do work.
Yeah. I mean, our current solution is putting the pieces, or the puzzle, doing a puzzle on a piece of foam core board, which is, it actually works really well for the puzzles we're doing. They're the right size.
For 1,000-piece puzzles, it's pretty much perfect.
But the board now is like kind of warped and stuff, so it's...
Yeah, and then we shove it under our bed, and every time I like am carrying it to the room, I'm like, don't trip, don't trip, don't trip.
Especially when it gets closer and closer to being done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and board games, we do more with the kids, and generally, usually together, board game wise in the winter.
Yeah.
Maybe not last year, but...
Yeah.
And I've played more board games this autumn season than I have in multiple years combined, I feel like.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of new games.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Weirdly, that I didn't think of adding that. It is something that I...
You do that year round.
But I play games. Yeah, but I mean, we haven't really played a whole lot of games as a family in the last few months.
No, I guess not.
But anyway.
We should play the one I played last night. I played Rome.
Okay.
I don't know. It's pretty simple, but it has different things that can get more complicated. You pretty much have markers to put on cards. Let's see if I can describe this. And then when the card is filled up, there's 6 spaces. Whoever has the most markers gets that card, and there's points on there. if it's a tie, then you have to bid for the card, and it gets more complicated because you can only put your markers. Each card that you have has like a specific way you can put your markers. So some of them are like, oh, just 2 in a row, but some of them are you have 1 on the left, and then you go 1 down and 1 over, and then you can put 1 there, and then you can put 1 like 2 over and 1 up, and it gets very complicated.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's okay. It's complicated, but super simple at the same time.
I believe you.
It's a simple game, but when you're trying to figure out where to put your markers, you're like, I don't know. I had to like hold my card up and figure out, okay, 1 at a time. But it was simple, and then there was things to make the game more complicated once you get the simple part.
Right. Yeah. I like when they do that. Like, it's easy to learn but hard to master kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I explain the game I was playing?
Oh my goodness, that game looked so complicated. I had no idea what was going on.
It's actually not that complicated, but I won't.
I heard you guys talking, saying the words, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It was fun.
The one we started with was called No Thanks.
Yeah.
I think that's supposed to be like a pretty retro game.
It's been around a long time, yeah, and it's a fun, light little card game.
I thought my dad might like that game, but my mom says he's just not into games at all. So I thought that might be a good Christmas, play at Christmas. It only has cards, and little token things.
Well, Ephraim has to Cover Your Assets and
play that one.
Get your dad to play that.
Well,
the rest of us.
At least the rest of us will play it. Yeah. I don't know if he will, but
yeah,
maybe we could figure it out.
Anyway,
yeah. Next one.
I am looking forward to playing. I would like to. We talked about starting a kind of a campaigny game again.
Yeah.
But we haven't gotten around to it yet. So.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so board games. I was gonna say reading.
We are swapping roles.
I do generally read throughout the year, but I find it in winter it just feels, I don't know, it just feels more right, like, because I like to have my cup of tea, and
yes,
so it just feels more like a cozy.
You always have your cup of tea,
winter activity.
It feels better in the winter. This was my number 1 too. Are we surprised?
No, I'm not surprised at all.
But for me, it's like add the slippers and the heated blanket and the fireplace on. Like, you get the whole atmosphere.
Yeah.
Which you can't do properly in summer because then you'd be too hot.
Gotta have the air conditioning blasted so that you can put the fireplace on.
Yeah. Heated blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like reading all year round, but there is definitely, especially when you come in from a winter walk and you have that chill, and then you sit down with a book and a blanket and a warm drink. Hot chocolate for me, but
it's just got a good feel to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
so
sure.
That was your number 2 and my number 1. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is going for walks.
Oh, wow. Are we not similar or what?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we are. Yeah, I think it was it like 2 years ago we started walking more regularly in the winter. Maybe 3 years ago? 2 years ago.
That was the first
2 years ago.
Year that we had a little guy. Did we start when we first got him? We got him in February. Did we start that year, or did we start in the, I don't know. I
don't remember. But
it's been 2 years.
It was when we started us walking together.
Oh, yeah.
Is when it really made a big difference. And I just found, well, first of all, you're never too hot when you're walking in winter, which sometimes in summer it's just like you can't cool off.
Yeah.
And yes, you can get too cold in the winter, but then you're always like, oh, I'm going to go back and I'm going to like go into a warm house. And something about just walking in like when it's dark, because it's almost always dark.
Yeah.
And it's like lightly snowing, and we have like the nice path around this little mini lake that we walk around.
Which has like the Narnia lights, or it feels like Narnia.
Yeah, it's got like lamp posts, and it's just, it's a really cool experience. Yes. And it's usually really, really quiet because people aren't really out a lot. Yeah. So the only downside is a lot of yellow snow along the path.
It's always best
throughout winter.
Right after a snow, because then you can't see that part.
Covers up all the dog.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, but that's not the good part. But walking, really. I mean, I enjoy walking throughout the year, but there's just something different about the winter walks that I surprisingly really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. That's a good top 3. Curious to know other people's winter activities, if they have more outdoor things than we had.
If they experience the winters like we do, I guess.
True. Yeah. And if we lived somewhere else, there might be different things on my list, because might enjoy some activities more if it wasn't minus 40.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we don't... I think we've been pretty good the last winter about walking no matter what, pretty much. No matter how cold it was. Like, we have enough winter gear to bundle up and go out.
Yeah, we invested in some nice warm stuff.
And I think, yeah, that's mentally been really good. Like, you think about, like, the happy light that's kind of supposed to replace that outside time, or like sunshine time, really. And even if it's not sunshine, I feel like just being outside,
even if we just do a walk in the dark, like either in the early morning or in the evening, and it's dark, it's still beneficial, I find. Getting out in nature, even if you can't see the sun.
For sure.
Okay Anything else before we talk about organization?
No, I'm just...
Well, how's the snow?
That hasn't changed.
Still just coming down.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't really remember exactly how I started this. Would you consider yourself more a type A person, or a, like, anal and organized? Or I was going to say spontaneous, but then I was like, nah, you're not spontaneous.
I definitely lean towards more like liking things organized and like not just flying by the seat of your pants all the time.
Sometimes. You have no notes today.
I have no notes today.
Flying by the seat of your pants.
But I know you have notes, so...
I feel like we're generally pretty organized people. And so I thought we could talk about like some of the tools that we use and why we like organization.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start there. Why do we like organization?
Well, I think it kind of fits with what we talked about months ago with like eliminating hurry and like busyness and stuff. And so it feels like, because we have a decent, like right now we have a decent amount of stuff going on. We're busy probably 4 nights of the week during the week at least.
Oh, this week was, it's been every evening except one. Yeah.
And so I feel like that kind of, in some ways I feel like that kind of flies in the face of like trying to eliminate hurry. Mm-hmm. But these are mostly things that we feel like are beneficial things in
they're intentional.
Various ways. Like whether it's kids soccer, like we want to be involved. I want them, having some activity throughout the winter and like being involved in community events and stuff like that. And so, there's like reasons behind them. And so I feel like if we didn't have some ways of trying to keep ourselves organized, I would be a lot more stressed about what's all going on, because then you're always like, whoa, what am I doing today? I have no idea.
Yeah, and I think this plays into last week's show up, just showing up, because if I don't write things down, I instantly forget them. Yeah. And I wouldn't
show up if you don't know what.
I know, exactly. I wouldn't show up to things because I wouldn't have it written down, and I wouldn't be trying to forget it. I would completely forget it. So
and then it feels more stressful to try to remember all the things if you don't have them written down somewhere that you can actually rely on to remember for you, I guess.
Yes. Unlike some people, like I know some people have a great memory for certain things, and mine is not. I remember very weird things. Like random people's birthdays that I've known or haven't seen in 15 years. Or that I've never met. I remember birthdays, but I don't remember other things, like anything else. So writing things down is helpful. So the biggest, I guess the main or the first thing that we started with is using Google Calendar, or just like syncing our calendars together. That was... I'm actually curious to know how long we've been using that.
I was trying to think about that too, and I don't know. I don't know if I can
You could go like back into our Google history. So, I mean, there's other calendar apps. It doesn't have to be Google necessarily, but that's what we use and have used for, we will figure out how many years. Every time we have something up, I put it in there. And then I can see, if you have something going on, it reduces a lot of scheduling conflicts that would arise otherwise. Yeah.
So maybe it'd be helpful to explain how we have our Google Calendar set up, because we don't have just a Google Calendar. We both have our own calendars.
that we share with each other.
that we share, or like through Google Calendar, you can share a calendar with someone. And so I can view your events, you can view my events. And then we also have a both calendar, which is kind of like, or I don't know, maybe you named it family.
No, there's a both one, which just means we're both, this event is for both of us. Some of them are just, like for me or for you, depending what we got going on. How else do you want to explain what we do? I don't even know.
Well, we also have I have obviously I have work calendar as well. I have but I have work stuff that affects my home life
right
in calendar as well. So like days off and stuff like that. We have a church calendar that is who's on
doing
music,
and
who's preaching, even what's the passage going to be and stuff. And so, I'm going back to 2014 and there's still events in the calendar.
Oh no, you gotta go way far back. And so I will even put events in the calendar after they've happened. Or we were supposed to have something up tonight, but it got moved to Thursday. So after we got home, I went back and I moved it to Thursday, because sometimes you like to look back and or kids' dentist appointments sometimes. When did they go to the dentist last? And I can go back to the calendar and I can figure it out. So even if there's something that comes up and it wasn't in the calendar, I'll go back and I'll add things in just so we know when things happened. And we do a lot of reoccurring events. So when we kind of meet with our small group through church, then we have that in there. I don't remember what else we have for reoccurring events.
Soccer.
Yeah, and the kids, actually, they worked out really well that their soccer schedules, we could just...
You just import
their calendars, so that worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I do look at the month calendar, and it is a little bit overwhelming, because it's almost every day has something in it, and that feels whoa, this is too much.
But sometimes it's not all your stuff.
Right. And if those things weren't in the calendar, they would still be happening.
Yeah.
I would just have to remember them all.
Yes.
And so, it's been massive, I think. I'm pretty good at remembering events, but the calendar makes me not have to.
Yeah.
And then I feel that just
frees up some space.
frees up some mental energy to remember, okay, what was I doing?
I feel like I'm a computer that's running at full capacity all the time. My brain, it needs to empty some things.
More memory installed or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So I went back to 2008, and it looks like October 2008 is when we started really putting stuff in.
So that was 2 years after we got married?
Yeah.
Right? And I think there was some periods where we didn't maybe use it as much. Now I wouldn't be able to function without it. And then I have a widget on the home screen of my phone that shows events. It shows how much space does it have. It has room for the next 4 or 5 upcoming events. And that way I can just have a quick glance at what's coming up. Anything else you want to say in regards to Google Calendar? It's nice because it's on the phone, so you can access it anywhere. I would love a paper planner, but it just isn't. It doesn't make sense. Especially to be able to access it anywhere and for you to use it. And
because you really like paper lists and notebooks and checklists and paper in general. Yeah, big fan of paper.
I'm a big paper person. Yep.
Paper promoter. But it's just the convenience of being able to, when someone asks oh, can we do something this day, and you just pull out your phone and be like, these are the events happening that day. It's really helpful, and I don't have to if I'm out, message you and ask if if you have anything up that day, because we're just assuming it's in the calendar unless I've forgotten to put it in, which happens occasionally.
It happens, but not very often anymore. But I do know people that you're trying to plan things and then they're like, oh, my planner's at home, I'll have to check when I get home. Yeah. And then that just makes things take longer.
Yeah. Looking at our November, we have 6 days in November that don't have anything in the calendar. Yet. It's what, the 5th?
5th. Remember. The 5th of November.
Right. I forgot.
I just sent it to you like 45 minutes ago.
I forgot. I didn't have it in my calendar. Oh, wait. Yeah, it's a date, so it should be in the calendar. And like, not all of them are necessarily, like, they're not like, oh, busy all day, but.
Right. Little things, appointments, and.
Yeah. So I feel like as far as organization, that's like the number one tool for me, at least.
Yeah. If I didn't have that, I would feel very scattered.
Yeah. Sometimes I just need to, because I get overwhelmed looking at the month view, because I like to have days at home.
Yeah.
And I feel like they don't happen very often, but so sometimes, yeah, when I look at the month, it's like, this is really overwhelming. But if I just take it down to like the week and just like, okay, this is what's happening this week, it's a lot less overwhelming. And generally, yeah, there's stuff in there that's like, yeah, the calendar is full, but I don't necessarily have to go to that thing, or you know, this is only for a few hours or whatever. So, but yeah, Google Calendar or whatever kind of shared synced calendar works for you, I think would be something big. I would suggest using as a family.
Mm-hmm. And I actually do have calendars set up for the kids that I have sometimes in the past done like their specific appointments in their colors. But right now, because they're not using it, I don't really care so much. But in the future, once they're a little older, I'm going to get them hooked up in there too, so that they can view everything and input their stuff on their own. I
mean, right now, whatever they're doing pretty much is going to involve one of us anyway. Yeah. So it's really an us event too, right? Because we have to take them somewhere. Yeah.
We still drive them everywhere.
Yeah. They don't have all their times to hang out with their friends in the calendar yet, so then it would be full.
Yeah, that would be overwhelming. Okay.
So other than calendar, because you have a lot of...
what do I have a lot of?
You have a lot. You have a lot going on with like side business stuff as well as homeschooling. Mm-hmm. And so like, I feel like you're always have like a list of, you know, things you're working on. Yes. How do you organize that?
So after Google Calendar, actually this app I even use more than Google Calendar is called To Do, but like written as a French way, Teuxdeux. Right. And it's so simple and it's brilliant. I think it costs $40 a year, and I am like, well, gladly pay that. So it shows you like a week at a glance. You input your to-dos, and then you check them off when you're done, and it crosses it off, puts it at the bottom of the list. But where the brilliant part of this is for me is the fact that anything you don't do on one day moves over to the next.
Just rolls over.
Yeah. Like, and I've tried running to-do lists before and stuff, and that can be great, but then you finish things and they're kind of in the middle of the things that you need to do. And then I feel like I don't forget things, because if I didn't get to it this day, it's going to be on my list tomorrow. So I'll remember it again. But that is where I keep all my like side business lists. And then it's set up in a very simple way where it's kind of just supposed to be just a to-do list. But you can have little headings. So when I have a video going live, I'll have that in a heading form so I can see like these are videos that I need to film. And then it has some other lists that you can have underneath, which just stay there. So I'll make like a running list of things I need to do this month that I'll need to pull into my different weeks as the month goes and stuff like that. I don't know. It's super simple, but very beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried so many different to-do apps before. I don't...
Yeah, you've never tried this one, have you?
No. I just try free things.
Well, it's free for a month. The first month is free.
Oh, okay. And
then I think it used to be $30 a year, and then they bumped it up to $40 because everything's getting more expensive these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it keeps me organized for sure. So it's worth it to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's whatever, $40 or whatever it is, but helps, like how much time it saves in trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing or like what you plan to be doing or whatever.
I'm trying to see if there's any other features. Yeah, so they have just your normal days of the week, You make your list. And then they have a someday list. And that's where I have a bunch of other lists of things that don't belong on a certain day, but that I need to remember or want to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to use Todoist.
Oh, yeah.
Which I found pretty good. But most of my to-do stuff is just through work.
Yeah.
Like personal stuff, I feel like I don't need a list. I can keep a pretty good handle on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I just use kind of work tools. None of them are super great, but and I find actually I use my email as a to-do list a lot.
I was going to talk about email too. How, because you and I use our email differently.
Yeah. I am if it's unread, it needs to be dealt with kind of person. So I'll read an email and then I'll mark it as unread if I need to reply to it, but I can't reply to it at that point, or I need to like follow up with something. And so my inbox becomes like my to-do list in many ways for things that come in through email, which for work is most things, and even personally or whatever, there's a lot that's just managed through email. And then once I'm done with it, it gets archived. Yeah. And so it's out of the inbox. Like, so if if I have nothing to do in there, then it's just a completely empty mailbox, which is quite satisfying.
Yep. Okay, so our way of dealing with things isn't that different. I just leave it in my inbox until I've dealt with it, and then I archive it. But I always tag my emails appropriately.
For finding them later?
Yes.
Okay.
So, like, if it's a email from our school division about some kind of homeschool update, I'll tag it as a homeschool email. Yeah. And if I need to do something, I'll leave it in my inbox until I've done that thing. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll put the thing I need to do on my to-do list, and then I can archive it. So as long as it's gone somewhere so that it's something...
You're not going to forget about it. Yeah.
But archiving emails is nice because then it's a completely empty
and
inbox.
You can still search for them.
Yeah.
Which I do all the time.
Yes.
I guess I don't tag things. I just assume that Gmail search is going to be good enough to help me find things. But
yeah, I guess my one, because like the work email that I have, I get emails from my different websites or people like from the different websites. Yeah. So then I'll tag it as like this belongs with this website or this one.
Categorize them. Yeah.
So I like tags and archiving things. Yep. Cool. And then, not that we're going to talk about this very much because this was last week's topic, but YNAB is definitely one of the ways we keep organized. Yeah. So you need a budget, the way we budget things. And I have a list of receipts I need to go through. As always, that's just, I don't know. I feel like I can be organized in some areas.
That's definitely not your area.
No, it's really not. And I feel really guilty that I'm so bad at it. But I am.
You don't have to feel guilty. It's okay.
Okay. Then another resource app website is Notion.
Right.
And I've used it on and off. It's not one I super, super love.
It's a weird, it's so powerful. Mm-hmm. It can do so much. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of hard to figure out how to make it do what you wanted. Or, I don't know.
So I would say it's kind of like Evernote.
Yeah, I've never used that.
Yeah. I like watching videos on how people use their Notion. It's very interesting, and it just rabbit trails me, and I don't even do 95% of the stuff other people do. But I like the idea of it, but I can do a lot. Yeah.
I mean, Notion is basically, you can make databases and lists of information and then make pages that read from that information. So you can use it, you could build your to-do app that you have in Notion.
Yes.
But it would just take a lot of work to do that.
That is how I started using Notion. I saw some people that had they have a dashboard with their things they need to do that week and links to their menu plan and different things that they use all the time. But it just, it takes a long time to set up.
Yeah.
I think if I was going to university,
Yeah.
I would use that for all my notes now, because you can do different things. You can make like a toggle list and kind of hide things so it's not overwhelming. You can make checklists for like your assignments and stuff. I think if this was a different life stage, I would use it more. But it's a cool resource that I use sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've used it a few times for different things, or like thinking like, okay, I'm going to organize everything in here, and then I try to set something up and it's never quite how I want it, and it comes a little clunky, and then I just end up
And the app
abandoning it.
isn't as good as the website.
No, the app doesn't work very well.
So then it's like if I can't check things off of my phone or really add things on very well, then it's not as useful.
Yeah.
Okay. I had something else. Oh yeah. I think 2 things. First of all, a lot of families follow a menu plan, and that's kind of like how they organize.
Yeah. We've tried.
We are not menu planners.
No. What's the longest you think we've stuck with a menu plan?
Less than a month.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe.
We don't really like food. Like,
Accurate.
I mean, we like certain kinds of food, but we're not very diverse people. And then
No.
we have food restrictions on top of that. Cut out all the gluten and
A lot of the dairy.
a lot of the dairy. And we also just are picky eaters.
Yeah.
So we kind of rotate between the same meals, which for the most part works. We have one person in our family that's a little bit more adventurous than the rest of us. But one thing we do is we all take a separate night of the week to cook.
Or at least plan the meal at
Yes.
this point for the
Well,
kids.
yeah, and I mean, we're flexible. This week it didn't quite happen, but Mondays you make supper. And I am very fortunate because I know lots of guys don't do that. And not that you, like, and you would do other days too. But I really like knowing that Mondays I don't have to stop doing things at a certain time and start supper.
Well, and a lot of it too is you don't have to think about what should be for supper,
That
right?
is the worst
Like,
part. And even if we had a menu plan, which like it's supposed to remove that needing to think of it, we never wanted to eat the food that was on the menu plan anyway. So it
Yeah.
wasn't
So then it would
helpful.
come like, oh yeah, so the menu plan says we're supposed to have lasagna, and we're like, I really don't want to have
Yeah, no.
lasagna. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
just do something else. And then your menu plan is completely
Yeah.
changed. So
Yeah. And then the kids each do a day. Usually I'm there with them, but they're learning getting kitchen experience and learning how to cook things. And hopefully eventually that will be less work.
yeah.
Right now, sometimes like this week, I was just like, well, I'm just going to make their meals because I really didn't want what somebody was going to make.
Sometimes their choices. They both like a meal that we really don't like.
Yeah.
And so they make it.
More frequently than we want.
Yeah. And we try to, yeah.
So, yeah, so that's how we do that. I know lots of people organize their menu plans very well, and I am jealous, and I wish I could just have a menu plan
Yeah.
and stick to it and love all the things on it, but
Yeah. Yeah, I wish we could, because it would make it so much easier day to day to.
instead of going back from the fridge to the
Yeah.
pantry to the fridge to the pantry.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no food.
But there is food.
Oh, yeah.
It's just nothing we want to eat for some reason. Yeah, it's a struggle. Speaking of like food though, I guess another thing that we use together is Google Keep for
Oh.
grocery list.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So
That's right.
It's just like a note-taking app, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
App.
It's not that great,
No.
but it functionally works for us. We have like a Google Home
Yeah.
thing that we can just yell at to add groceries to
Yes.
or add things to the grocery list.
And that has been a game changer. Okay, well, first of all, I was going to say it's been a game changer, but first of all, you have to look at the list when you're shopping. 'Cause
Yes.
sometimes I don't do
Yeah,
that.
that is true.
But being in the kitchen and just being able to say, like, add this thing to the grocery list because I realize we're low or out.
Yeah, when your hands are dirty because you're like cooking something.
Yeah, so you can't just like walk over and write it down or something. That's been big. Yeah, that was a good one.
Even if sometimes we end up with really weird things on the grocery list because it misunderstands you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't remember. Soy sauce to the toy sauce.
Soy sauce to the toy sauce, yeah.
What I thought you were going to actually say is Google Docs, because we have a lot of our recipes in. This is not sponsored by Google.
No.
We have a lot of our recipes in Google Docs, so we can access them. I want to print out an actual recipe book now that the kids are in the kitchen more and stuff.
Yeah.
But
that's nice. Really handy, because I often like don't know what we called something, and you just like search in Docs for some of the ingredients and it finds what it is, right? So yeah, no, I forgot about that one, but yeah, that has been helpful. And I do most of my personal stuff, like study and stuff, all in Docs,
right,
as well. Never have to worry about where your files are. That's the big thing. Like, you know, with classic Word, where you're saving things to your computer and then your computer dies and now you lost all your stuff. And
what do you do if your Google size limit is getting really close to the end?
Delete stuff I don't need.
But what if you don't have anything to delete that you don't need? I have some big emails with some big files, like all of Ephraim's referral pictures and information. I was wondering if I like email that to his email address, which he doesn't access or use, and then he'll have
his
that
account. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Send my big files over there. Anyway,
I have space in Dropbox.
Dropbox or Drive?
Dropbox.
I have multiple Dropboxes, awful. Okay.
I have a paid Dropbox, though.
Oh. This is a game changer. Anyway. Also, Dropbox. I really only had one more thing, which is more of a routine than a resource. Is there anything you want to add before I get into that?
I don't think so. I mean, we've talked about, I was thinking like organization as far as like following a Bible reading plan.
Oh yeah.
I use the Bible app for that. I typically read on a physical paper copy of the Bible, but then
use that to check things off.
Use that to check the list.
Do you want to know how many days behind the Bible app thinks I am? Because I've been using it says I've missed 69 days, but I haven't. I just never check them off. I read it.
Yeah.
See, I'm a paper person.
But I use that to, like, I mean, right now we're going through a physical book.
Yes.
And so that's easy to keep track. But typically when we haven't, then I've used an app to just keep track of progress and stuff.
That's good.
I mean, there's that like satisfaction of checking a box always too, right? But
yep. Now I can go in and check 69 days worth
of. So many check boxes to check.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, I mean,
let's look through my apps here. What else do I use? I already tried and I'm already missed some.
Yeah, I feel like you have a lot more though. I have stuff for work, but that's completely different. So
I do, going back to Google Keep, I do actually use that a lot for a lot of different things. I use it as a mini version of Docs. If something I want to store is very small, then I can always search for it.
Yeah.
I have like a wish list, which I haven't updated in a while. But every time I think of something that I want for myself or to buy one of the kids, I write it on there so that, I have so many random things. Health cards for our foster kids, like their health card numbers, because they never came with cards when we had to have the number somewhere.
I use that for picking songs. So I have a list of songs that like a long list to pick from, and then I always have, then I can always see like last time I picked which ones we did, and but I feel like as far as family like organization, keeping track of things, like covered most of them. Google Calendar is still that's the biggest one.
I wouldn't show up to anything without that.
Biggest difference.
Okay, and then so the other thing I was gonna just say is, for the last couple months, what I've been doing is Sunday evening or around then, looking at the calendar, the upcoming week, and trying to schedule in my week, figure out what to do, things are going to go on each day, which days are like heavier with commitments and stuff like that. And I feel like that helps me feel ready for the week when Monday morning comes around.
Right. So instead of feeling overwhelmed on Monday of like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah. Like I have 60 things I need to do this week.
Yeah.
I know it's like, okay, I got 4 things today that I want to finish. And yeah, so that's been helpful for me mentally. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Now I need to go Google why people sneeze a certain amount of times.
I thought 3 was the normal.
Is 3 and okay. Before we started filming, Jared sneezed twice, but one of our foster kids, she would like consistently sneeze like 6 times.
Yeah.
She was like a multi-sneezer.
It was always 6 though, or like sometimes it was 5, but
sometimes it would be less. But like it was not abnormal for her to sneeze 6 times.
That was the normal.
Yeah, and I want to know why. Is this normal? Maybe she wasn't normal. I don't know.
Maybe.
So I wrote that down. So if I don't write things down, I don't remember them.
And you can so organized you can find answers to all kinds of important questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, if anybody ever asks me after I've Googled this, I should have an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I'm curious to see what other people do.
Yes.
I'm sure people have other things that we could probably glean from to be more organized. I feel like, the calendar thing, I feel like we got down, but there's other areas. Maybe someone has the magic meal solution for us.
Oh,
meal
please.
planning
Yes.
solution.
If you only like 10 different meals.
Or 10 different kinds of food.
Yeah. True.
I make some different recipes pretty frequently, but they're always very similar to other things we've had.
See, and I experimented with recipes more when we were first married, and we didn't like any of them. So now I'm just burnt out.
But mine are always like, okay, I'll make chicken and potatoes, but this time I'll put a different spice on the chicken. Ooh.
If you've come up with some good things, though.
Yeah. But for us, it's always a struggle because you look up recipes, especially when you look up a gluten-free recipe, then it's like, arugula and whatever that is, and stuff that we like basic food.
Yes.
We're simple people.
We're very simple.
We're not foodies.
No.
So if you have suggestions for people that eat like they're 6 years old,
crackers and cheese,
and can't have gluten or dairy crackers and cheese.
I always said as long as I could eat crackers and cheese, I'd be fine. And then here you go and get celiac, and my body can't do much dairy.
Yeah.
But I'm still surviving.
We're still surviving. We found cheese, and we found some crackers that we like too. So you still have crackers and cheese.
No, I can. Yeah.
You wanted to talk about
what did I forget?
Your membership thing.
Right. So I launched a homeschool membership
this week.
Earlier this week. End of this week.
Midweek.
Between
one of those times. Did you write it down?
It was Wednesday. I remember now.
Yes, it was Wednesday.
Yeah. So I love doing entrepreneurial stuff, which I have realized in the last couple of weeks comes from my mom's side of the family. They're all entrepreneurial ladies.
If you can sell dandelion seeds, then you got...
My aunt's got quite the business going. Yeah. Yes. I wasn't even thinking about her. But yes, my mom's family is entrepreneurial. I love it. I love making products, and like when I had my photography business, like I love that kind of thing. I hate selling things. Yeah. And so the credit goes to you because this was your idea, at least the general.
We'll see if it's credit or blame.
Well, so what I'm doing is I have a year-long membership for $30, and I'm pretty much just giving them all the things that I make, which is already over $30 worth of stuff, plus a $50 gift certificate for my shop.
Up now,
yeah, if you sign up before the end of the year. And I feel like that's helped me mentally because I love making products for our homeschool and for other people's homeschools. Yeah. But then I'm always like, but now I got to like figure out how to market this, and I'm not great at that. So this way I can just give it to the people that are in the membership.
Yeah. And I mean, $30 a year is
Yeah, I wanted
super
to make
cheap.
it doable because I know lots of families homeschool, so therefore they have one person that's not working.
right.
Don't have a lot of money. I get it. And so I'm excited about it because it's something I feel like I'm excited to promote because I feel like the value is there. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then like there's plans to do more with like, you know, building a community out of
I want to,
community of homeschoolers,
yeah.
which I think is important.
Yeah.
So
And I've already had more people sign up than I was expecting. So that's always exciting. And
Yeah.
then the community that can start forming, hopefully, as we need to add a few things in order to do that yet. But yeah, that's right. Forgot about that.
cool. Where can they go if they want to? If they're a homeschooler.
We'll link it.
This podcast sponsored by.
I actually should. Well, my website's intentionalhomeschooling.com, but I should do a nice banner on there still to market it,
Yeah.
point people to it.
Still very new,
Yeah.
but yeah, like you're always making things
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoy the process of creating things, and
Yes.
so this feels like you can basically give them away, but still help to like pay for some of the cost of
Yeah.
making the things and spending the time to do that. So yeah,
Brilliant idea.
yeah. Whoever thought of that, just
Yeah.
genius.
Genius.
Probably really organized too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must be because of all these tools I use. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Yeah, that's it for me. Yeah, like I said, if you have ideas or tips on what you do to stay organized as a family, keep on top of things, I'd like to see them in the comments, and
Share any kind of apps and resources.
yeah, and apparently meal planning ideas.
Oh yeah.
No guarantee. Well, probably we won't listen to them. I'm just putting that
Tell
out there.
us, but we won't listen.
Yeah, you can tell us, but we've been down this road a few times. Anyway, that's it for us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Have a good week.